right, welcome to Talkin' Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk about CORZ Scientific, stock ticker CORZ. CORZ gave their monthly update on Friday, so I want to go through their monthly update, and I also want to go through the big picture on CORZ Scientific because there's a lot going on. This is really a glasses half full or glasses half empty situation, and there's a lot of people on both sides of this. So we talk about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners all the time on this channel. If that is content that you're interested in, or if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if everybody would please smash the like button, it helps this channel out a lot and helps the video out a lot. So I appreciate that very much. So let's talk about CORZ Scientific. CORZ Scientific closed yesterday at $2.91. So that left them at $948 million market cap, just under $1 billion. Now, we're going to look at the chart later. They have had a huge run up over the last month, as have a lot of the Bitcoin miners. But CORZ Scientific in specific, they have had a better run up than most. However, they're still trading very low compared to the size company they are. They're still under $1 billion market cap. That puts them behind Marathon and Riot. And CORZ Scientific right now, from an operational standpoint, is much bigger than both of those companies. Okay, operating approximately 195,000 owned and co-located ASIC servers. So I will tell you, I'm going to dig into that. These guys do two different things. They have their self-mining, which really is the core of their business. Ultimately, that's where they're going to succeed or fail, is in their self-mined Bitcoin. They do, however, have a very large hosting business as well. So the amount that they host rivals the amount of their own self-mining, and you'll see that. However, from a revenue standpoint, and more importantly by far, from a gross profit standpoint, up until today, and if you look at the 10K from the first quarter of 2022, you'll see that the co-hosting business is just about a break-even business from a gross profit standpoint. It kicks off very, very little gross profit. Now, there is the potential that if Bitcoin goes up in price quite a bit, there'll be more room for gross profit in that, but it's never going to compete with the gross profit that you get from mining the Bitcoin yourself. Okay, they produced 1,221 self-mined Bitcoin in the month of July. That is their all-time record. So obviously, that's a good thing. We'll look at that chart later. They didn't beat their record by a lot, but they did. That's the most they've ever mined. So that is a good month, particularly since July was a very difficult month for most of the miners. There's only 3 or 4 miners that broke their record in July. They had to participate in energy curtailment, as did many of the Bitcoin miners. So this wasn't even peak efficiency for them, and they still broke their all-time record for Bitcoin mined. So to me, that's one thing in the win column for them. CORZ Scientific self-mining operations produced 1,221 Bitcoin in July. The company expanded its fleet of self-mining servers by 6%. From approximately 103,000 to 109,000 servers, and increased its hash rate by 6% from 10.3 exahash to 10.9 exahash. So all of those numbers lead the industry. So 10.9 exahash is actually more than double the next closest competitor, which at the moment is Riot Blockchain. Okay, the company's fleet of ASIC servers produced 10.9 exahash and 42 Bitcoin per day at month end. So that is a good improvement. They were stuck in the 30s, despite the fact that their exahash was going up month after month after month. They kept mining roughly the same amount of Bitcoin. But they did take a nice jump. By the end of July, they were at 42 Bitcoin per day. If you go to their website, you'll see they post this on a daily basis. They tell you how many Bitcoin that they've mined. So they're very transparent. You don't have to wait until the end of the month. Okay, so then they say the company expects to deploy approximately 60,000 additional self-mining ASIC servers before the end of 2022. So there's 5 months left in the year 2022. We'll see. They're looking to add another 60,000 machines, so that's significant. That would get them, they're at almost 11 exahash right now. I think that's going to get them to something over 17, because a lot of these are the 140 terahash machines. So I think it's their expectation, it's their goal to be somewhere at 17 or 18 exahash by the end of the year. We'll see what happens. They're already, like I said, by far the largest Bitcoin miner in North America. that's publicly traded. So as of the month end, self-mining accounted for approximately 56% of the company's total hash rate. So like I said, they have a very large hosting service. So 44% of the machines they have up and running, and that's none of this 10.9 exahash. The 10.9 exahash is their self-mining. So in other words, they have another 8 or 9 exahash going that they're serving for other people as hosts. Okay, so then I want to go through Bitcoin sales. During the month of July, the company sold 1,975 Bitcoins at an average price of approximately $22,000 per Bitcoin for total proceeds of $44 million. As of July 31st, the company held 1,205 Bitcoin and approximately $83 million in cash. So I want to take a look at a schedule I put together because this is part of the glass is half empty scenario for Core Scientific. So you'll see in January, February, March, and April, that number was 0. They were not selling Bitcoin. They did not sell Bitcoin in 2021 either. They were hodling 100% of their Bitcoin. Unfortunately, in May, they were forced to sell 2,698 Bitcoin. In June, they sold a staggering 7,202 Bitcoin. And now in July, they sold another 1,975 Bitcoin. That's 11,875 Bitcoin that they have sold in the last 3 months. That's more Bitcoin than anybody has on their balance sheet by far in the mining industry. And what it essentially does, you'll see their balance of Bitcoin on their balance sheet peaked at 9,618. So they've actually sold more Bitcoin than they were at their peak. So they sold all the Bitcoin they ever mined, plus a bunch of the Bitcoin that they've mined since. Essentially, all they're left with is they mined 1,221 in the month of July, and they have 1,205 Bitcoins. All they seem to be left with is the Bitcoin that they mined in July. So this is not a great trend. These guys already have $1 billion in long-term debt. Their current ratio of current assets to current liabilities is somewhere around 1-to-1, so that is not great. They have $83 million in the bank, and they have 1,205 Bitcoin as of July 31st. Now, if you do the math, they spent $92 million of cash in the month of July. So that was just 1 month, and that seems to be a trend. That may be a little higher than average, but they have been spending $50, $60, $70 million a month. In July, it was $92 million. So my concern is they only have $83 million left and 1,200 Bitcoin left. Now, they mine about 1,200 every month, but 1,200 Bitcoin is not 70 or 80 or $90 million. At some point, hopefully, they can reduce their cash flow needs. It is quite possible they had to pay a lot of this for capital improvements and for their ASIC miners that they're buying. So hopefully their cash requirements will reduce, because this is where I have an issue, and I don't see any transparency on what their future cash flow situation looks like. All I can look at is what they've been spending on a monthly basis, and if this continues, they're out of money in a month or two. Now, obviously, they must have some plan beyond that, but it would be nice to share that with their shareholders. Their stock price is at a very low price. Their market cap is very low from a historical standpoint, so I don't think they want to raise a lot of money through equity. They already have $1 billion in long-term debt, so I don't think they want to raise a lot of money through debt. The only other option is to sell their Bitcoin, which is what they're doing. So I would love to see them. They will be putting out their financial statements, I think, next week. I would like to really see them address the liquidity issue and the cash flow issue. They did set up a $100 million facility to issue stock and get $100 million. So they can do that if they need that. So that might be some much needed liquidity. Obviously, it's not ideal to be selling their stock at a price down here at $2 or $3 a share. However, if they need the $100 million, then it beats the alternative. So they have $83 million on the balance sheet. They have 1,205 Bitcoin in custody, and they have $100 million access to equity if they need it. That is the big concern that I have with Core Scientific. Okay, so just to put the size and scale of Core Scientific into perspective, this is through June 30th. This does not include July totals because a lot of the Bitcoin miners have not yet reported July. But you will see that here is Core Scientific in first place. They've mined 6,566 Bitcoin in the first half of the year. Riot is in second place with 2,800. That's not even half. So you can see what I'm saying. These guys have scaled on another level. So they are a massive organization, but unfortunately, sometimes what comes with a massive organization is a massive amount of overhead. So again, I'm fixated on the liquidity. When their financial statements come out, that's going to be what it's going to be all about to me. Not profit, not loss. It's going to be what's their liquidity and what's their cash plan going forward. The other thing is this is a chart of efficiency over the course of the year. So the red line is their year to date. So they were at 106 Bitcoin per exahash on the average all year this year. They bumped that up to 112 in the month of July. So that was an improvement. And they did that even though they had to curtail their energy for part of the month of July. So actually, I think that's a big improvement for them. So that is a nice step in the right direction. So again, that one goes in the good news column. Let's take a look at their chart. Okay, this is zoomed out. This is a Core Scientific chart on the 1-day time frame. And now this was a SPAC. They actually started trading on the NASDAQ as stock ticker CORZ somewhere in January of 2022. So they haven't been trading for that long. So their high since they changed their stock ticker was $11.56. Their high while they were SPAC was just under $15. So you can see from their high to their low, they were down 90% in stock price. So actually, that sounds shocking, but if you've watched my videos, you'll know that almost every single Bitcoin miner that's publicly traded was down anywhere from 88% to some down as much as 95%. So this is right in there with the rest of the group. So although that's a shocking number, it really is within their industry. It's pretty much the average. So that's what happened to the Bitcoin miners over an 8-month period. So I want to zoom in because the last month has been the exact opposite story. Okay, so if I zoom in, you can see they hit their all-time low on June 30th, and that was at $1.40. So this stock got down to $1.40, which was, this stock has priced in a gigantic possibility that they're going to run out of money and fail, because there's no other reason, there's no other way this stock would be trading down at $1.40. Again, that was under $500 million market cap. That's down 90% from their highs. So from their low on June 30th, they are now up 108%. So that is more than a double. So they've had a giant move to the upside. A lot of the Bitcoin miners, actually most of the Bitcoin miners, had a very good July and a decent start to the beginning of August. But this puts them amongst the leaders. I think Marathon Digital is up the most, and then Core Scientific may be in second place with this 108% increase. Again, please do your own due diligence and be careful with this one. So hopefully that helps. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it this far, please remember to subscribe to the channel and smash the like button. Thanks again.